Well, hey everybody, John Ritlin here is a real lost rant about the current WWE product, part 3. Also going to include some stuff with New Japan. I just didn't want to make it too wordy of a title. But the subject for today's show has to do with part-timers, legends, other wrestlers that are way past their motherfucking prime. People that shouldn't be wrestling. People that should stay out of the goddamn ring and stop taking up spots from current people. Not even people that are young, but just people that can still go in the ring. Like, oh, hi, Undertaker. I didn't fucking see you there. Because you've been basically dead in the water since 2012. And I'm sorry, Undertaker has had flashes of coolness since then. I like the Punk feud. The streak did get broken. He did have that laughing, little exchange thing with Brock. And sure, their match at Hell in a Cell was fine. It was fine. Name one good thing that Undertaker has really done. Name one great thing Undertaker has done since 2012. And I love Undertaker. He is one of my favorites of all time. He's been wrestling since '84. He, basically had to stop being a full-time competitor after 2010 because of shoulder issues and just various injuries. He has fought through stuff. He has beat his body to shit. He doesn't need to fucking do it anymore. He's gonna die in the ring if he keeps doing it. Like, seriously. The guy has not had it for years and years and years, and yet persists on being in the ring. Now, maybe it's partly Vince, because Vince feels, oh, he's so great. He's a dead man. We need to keep him, pal. Speaking of people who need to fucking retire, Vince, you need to fucking retire, you stupid, crotchety old bastard. So, back to Undertaker. I love Undertaker, but I don't need to see Undertaker wrestle anymore. I'm sorry, I don't. I need to see Kane wrestle, and he was nearly 50, and he's years younger than Undertaker. So many people wrestle for too goddamn long, but before I get way too angry, because I'm already getting a headache, so that's going to make this rant fun, let me talk about some people that are actually good into their 50s. Minoru Suzuki is great. Jushin Thunder Liger is going to be retiring soon. He's been wrestling since '84. 89 since the Liger character, but still, there are some legends in New Japan that are wrestling at a pretty damn good level. Not elite level, but pretty good. Yuji Nagata, Kojima, Nakanishi, less so. Tenzan, less so. The whole point is when Father Time catches up with you, Father Time is undefeated, whether you're a man or woman. Some of these guys are wrestling, and they're still getting good pops, and yes, they're part of mainly tag matches and this kind of stuff and multi-person matches, so they don't have to do as much. But New Japan's got this issue too. Now, I love the fact that New Japan does right by their legends and has them retire, gives them retirement ceremonies. They did it with Iizuka earlier this year, and that was right. And it was his time to go. He really couldn't move. Any bumps he took, he was just cringing, probably because his back was beat up and everything. When it's your time, you need to retire. Now, Liger's going to be retiring very soon. I don't know how long Minoru Suzuki's going to wrestle. Probably for another couple years. As long as somebody is able-bodied and, sound mind and is not just a hanger-on, great. But people need to stop, pushing up these legends and everything and, glorifying them and okay, well, they're just as good as they were. No, they're not. And I'm just a wrestling fan. I'm just giving my opinion. It's far be it for me to say when somebody should retire. I'm not being ageist. It doesn't have to be in their late 30s, 40s, 50s. By 60, hate to say it, you probably shouldn't be wrestling. No matter how good you are. I mean, you can go back to Verne Gagne wrestling and Fritz Von Erich and people like that. And, I know they both passed away, but just there are so many legends for the years, territory days, even to now, that wrestled way past when they should have. Mick Foley and Impact. I mean, anybody wanted to see him wrestle still? Sting. I wanted to see Sting in WWE for a while. By the time Sting debuted, after that, by the time WrestleMania 31 came around, I sure as fuck didn't want to see Sting wrestle. Because he didn't have it. He didn't have it for a number of years in Impact because he was beat up. When the time is up, that's it. There is no going back. There is no saying, oh, I can recapture my glory. I can do this. I can, be that old lion and be the leader and, still be the leader of the pride and everything. No, you can't. It's like Hogan. When Hogan and Rock had their match at Mania 18, that should have been it. Or maybe Hogan versus Vince. The battle of the two fucking old guys that are way out of goddamn touch and one's a racist and one's an idiot. Or both are possibly racist. How the fuck should I know? We know for sure one is, even though he apologized for getting caught. And I'm not talking about Vince. Though you could argue that Vince might be. But anyway, off the topic of racism. there are examples of people that are wrestling really damn well into their 30s or into their late 30s, 40s, and whatever. I saw Ultimo Dragon at an indie show. I saw Super Crazy at, that same show. Both are really goddamn good still in the ring. I think Ultimo's a little bit older than Super Crazy, but the whole point is, met them both. Ultimo, super nice. Super Crazy, just very, very gracious. Tajiri is still able to wrestle well. Super Crazy and Tajiri wrestled, each other on that show. ECW reunion and all that. Because we can't let ECW fucking go. But still, it was nice to see them there. I mean, some crowds can't let ECW go. Some fans still can't let ECW go. Cody said it best about ECW, by the way, in the Monday Night Wars thing. ECW has some really good ideas. For every one of those, or 7 or 8, my God, this is horrible. And I'm going to stand by that. But, I did an unpopular opinion about ECW. That was a while ago, and I got nothing against anybody if they love ECW. You guys are cool with me. So let's get back to these guys. Okay, so Brock Lesnar. Nobody is going to tell me that Brock Lesnar should still be wrestling. Now, I know why. Vince is paying him a boatload of money. He's going to go to Saudi Arabia, whatever. I don't know what the fuck the match is going to be. WWE is probably afraid to announce it because of all the backlash they got from making a deal with a country that likes to have, this government likes to hack up people with bone saws, journalists in particular. And, gay people, hates gay people and hates women, even though women are able to drive, but they're still being, held down because of people misinterpreting religion and being stupid. But, another story for another day. Brock Lesnar has not had a good match since, I would argue, the triple threat with Rollins and I believe Cena at the Royal Rumble 2015. Sorry, I didn't think his match with Roman Reigns at Mania 31 was bad. I just didn't think it was great. Since then, no, I haven't given a shit. I mean, yeah, he had the stuff with Undertaker. I mean, their Hell in a Cell match was fine. It was fine. Not as good as their 2002 one, but whatever. But that was an example of going back to Undertaker. He has not done anything good or great since the end of an era match. And that's another match where, yeah, you had Shawn Michaels, special guest referee, been retired for a couple years, and didn't stay retired. Nope, that Saudi money really talked to him. Whatever. If it was a good paycheck, whatever. Who am I to say that people shouldn't be able to get back in the ring? Shawn shouldn't have gotten back in the ring because he couldn't fucking do it anymore, like at all. Probably hit his head pretty badly. Probably got a concussion, something, I don't know, but he didn't look very good. Kane, who shouldn't have been wrestling either at that point. Too many old people. Too many goddamn old people. And yes, it sounds like I'm railing on WWE. New Japan's got the issue too with some of their legends. But at least when they use their legends, they use them correctly. Minoru Suzuki beat Hiroshi Tanahashi at New Beginnings. Sapporo Night won last year for the Intercontinental title. Dropped it to Tetsuya Naito at Hinokuni about 3 months later. Okay, that's how you do it. I mean, Naito, granted, is not... I don't want to say he's old. He's not a spring chicken, though. He is 36, 37 years old. But at least in the minds of people, he's still got years left. That's the right way to use legends. And WWE at times has used them well. They used them well with Hogan when Hogan, put over Rock, even though Hogan was clearly the star there because the Toronto crowd cheered the racist grandpa, even though he wasn't shown to be racist then. It was just when he was in a dark period. It's funny that Hogan says he was in a dark period of his life. I wouldn't think he'd like anything dark in his life. Yeah, I took a few shots at Hogan, but whatever. Going back to Undertaker, though. He needed to hang it up a while ago. He's probably still going to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, whatever. It is what it is. Nothing I say in this video is going to fucking matter. In the end, it's just going to be me talking a whole bunch of noise. But Undertaker, I love him, should not be wrestling. Shawn should have never come back. Triple H should have retired at least, I would say, about Mania 30. That match he had with Daniel Bryan, that should have been it. Because the match with Sting was shit. The match with, the match with Sting was shit. The match with Roman Reigns in that following year wasn't very good. Rollins wasn't great. It was okay. If he had come out of retirement to have, the team with Stephanie to face Ronda and Kurt, that would have been fine. But my thing is Triple H thinks he's a legend, and he's not. And I will, die on that hill because that is my opinion. And I mean, I'm sticking to it. You guys can think Triple H is a legend. That's just totally fine. And that's the great thing about being a wrestling fan. Just being a wrestling fan, talking to you guys. I really do appreciate the interactions, even if sometimes I know that my opinions can irritate you guys. But one of the things I'm going to talk about is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho just should not be wrestling anymore. And you damn sure shouldn't be competing against Okada at Dominion in Osaka. And I get it. But Jericho shouldn't be competing for a title because they already put a title on him at last year's Dominion. And he probably won't win here. In fact, I'm like 99% sure he won't. Except there's that 1% where if they give him the title, the Intercontinental title still hasn't recovered. And it was on Naito and now it's on Kota Ibushi. It's going to take Kota Ibushi's reign lasting, I would say, at least to, I would say to November. He probably needs to hold it until Wrestle Kingdom, have a 9-month run, something like that. Or, drop it and then win the G1. It's going to take a while to get the stain of, off that title. And it's the same if they gave that title if they gave the IWGP Heavyweight title to Jericho. Yes, it would be a record. He could hold the world title or the WCW world title, the WWE title. He could hold, and he could, hold that and hold a trifecta and everything, and it could be that. And he could be the only guy to do that, or at least, he'd be one of the only guys to do that. I'd have to really go back and look in history. Vader never did, and he did hold the IWGP title and the old WC. The whole point is Jericho would be making history. He'd be one of a few, if not the only one, to do that. But that doesn't mean they should do it. And that doesn't mean that Jericho isn't washed. And he is. Great character work and everything. He is washed in the ring. That match with Omega was the last good one that he could do. The last great one that he could do. Other ones, sorry. There were impactful stuff. There was, window dressing to hide the fact he just doesn't fucking have it anymore. And hopefully AEW realizes this. I'm not saying cut him, but use him the right way, because I'm just worried that they're going to have him as a champion soon after, and it's just going to drag it down. He can't be a champion anymore. And then we go to Lesnar. Lesnar dragged down what little credibility left, or there was left of the Universal Championship. And you can't tell me he didn't. You could say it in the comments if you want, but him as champion was fucking rotten. At first, it made sense. He got off of Goldberg. Goldberg was just a transitional champion after Kevin Owens to drop the title to Brock. Okay. Whatever. But then Brock held it past, he held it past SummerSlam. The match with Samoa Joe, Great Balls of Fire, wasn't very good. The 4-way match was great at SummerSlam with Brock, Joe, aka Reigns, and Braun. That was good. That was good stuff. The match with Braun, no, it wasn't very good. It was fucking rotten. The match with Braun and Kane at Royal Rumble wasn't very good. It was pretty fucking rotten. The match with Reigns at Mania 34 wasn't very good because no one fucking cared, because no one wanted to see it. Then they pulled a swerve and didn't have Reigns win it, which killed him right there. And even after he won the title, then, the whole cancer thing, and thank God Reigns is okay. Then Brock wins the title back when they could have given it to Braun. And then he held the championship and dropped it to Rollins. And I'm sorry, but it's going to take the next person, hopefully Drew McIntyre, to take the shit stains off of the title that Brock left. He basically just left skid marks on the title and in the ring. And I'm not saying that Brock is a legit athlete. He is, but he is somebody that is a prime example of Vince relying on part-timers for the wrong reasons. Using them to get others over, establishing them, having them beat some people, but then having them ultimately put somebody over works fine. The problem is, I don't think Rollins is any more over after that Universal title win than he was going into it. Sure, he won it, cool, and it was, you could say it was dominant fashion, but Brock beat the shit out of him before the freaking bell, and then Rollins hit the low, low blow, a few curb stomps, which whatever. But then you get to Goldberg. I was never a fan of Bill Goldberg, and probably never will be. As far as a wrestler, he does a lot of great shit outside of wrestling as a great, does stuff with kids, does stuff for animals, and he does great stuff with his money and does good stuff for charity. I'm not going to fault that. But I had no desire to see Goldberg in a WWE ring even in 2003. By 2004, he was washed. So then they bring him back in 2016. Okay, the whole thing with Brock and Goldberg at Survivor Series shocked me. It shocked everybody. And then he appeared in the Rumble, and that wasn't very good. And then he beat Owens in like 20 seconds because he couldn't lift any, or he couldn't do much of anything because he tore his shoulder doing stuff. because he, Father Time had caught up to him, and Goldberg was like, well, shit, I probably shouldn't have done this. Now, his wife, especially his son, got to see him wrestle. That's fine. But Goldberg wasn't needed after that. And now they're going to possibly bring him back. Well, actually, they're for sure going to bring him back in Saudi Arabia. And I know why Saudi Arabia wants it. They want the big stars and everything. But just WWE is at a crossroads here. If they don't start using people better, as far as using legends to put others over, and they just have the legends bury, others. Hate to say what happened with Taker and Rusev, that didn't help Rusev at Saudi Arabia last year. That didn't help Rusev. You then had, all the four old guys, DX versus the Brothers of Destruction, a match that nobody asked for. Fuck. When I was at I think it was the one right before Super Showdown for Taker and the Raw, just before that, I was there live, and yes, it was cool to see Undertaker, but he couldn't fucking move. He can't fucking do it anymore. So many of these old guys are still trying to cling and clutch their top spot, and others did it. Flair hung on way too goddamn long, and I love Ric Flair. He got the ultimate retirement and then went to TNA when it was called TNA and wrestled still. That was a great idea. It was a bad idea. And TNA, for a while, but not so much anymore. Impact has actually done a lot to get away from using legends for anything other than one-offs or something like that, or use people to still have something left. But there are just too many that are taking up spots that they don't deserve. Just because they cut, their teeth in the ring, did some great stuff, wrestled forever and ever before, and bumped their bodies and tore their bodies up. When it is your time to hang it up, you hang it up. You don't keep hanging on. Now, seeing SoCal Uncensored was really, really cool. Going off on, an example of people that are still good in the ring. Scorpio Sky is still great in the ring. Kazarian's still great in the ring. He's in his mid-40s or early 40s. Daniels is approaching 50 and is still able to do some stuff. There's guys like PCO in Ring of Honor. There are other legends in New Japan. I'm sure that I'm just fucking forgetting. One guy that wrestles older than he actually is Hiroshi Tanahashi, because he carried that company on his back for so goddamn long that he's 41, 42, something like that, and he's probably got the body of about a 55-year-old inside. Now, he looks great, and he still can summon up, the ability to wrestle, but just so many still, they don't have it anymore. This is an example of when legends were used right. So you have Minoru Suzuki in the Battle Royal, the G1 Supercard Battle Royal. And then you got other ones in there, and you had, Jushin Thunder Liger, and then you had Great Muta show up. Well, you had Haku also. You could say Ming, but, call him Haku. King Haku. I wouldn't fucking tell him he shouldn't be wrestling, and he was really almost stumbling down the ramp, but the guy's still a fucking legend. And then you had Great Muta show up. Great Muta, who had been retired for a couple years, and but using legends there, that's an example. Then they used him right. They got, Kenny King got over a bit, I guess, by tossing out Liger and Muta. Okay, that's how you do it. You use it, to push younger talents or further a storyline, and that was fine. I loved seeing Muta and Liger in the ring, but it served its purpose. And then you get to some of the women. Now, a lot of the women actually can still wrestle well into their late 30s, 40s, whatever, even some into their 50s, because modern medicine, but also genetics, factors into it. There are some women, people that weren't sure how Beth Phoenix would do. And Beth Phoenix, I think, is only 38. And I always say only because I'm 38. And she wrestled like she never missed a step. There are other women that still wrestle. Trish, I'm sure, could still wrestle. Lita, I'm sure, could still wrestle. Not often, and that match at Evolution was But using legends that way makes more sense. The way WWE has been doing it, though, and going back, these guys, they were super over in the Attitude Era, they were super over in the Ruthless Aggression Era. We need to just keep relying on them. They keep bringing back Cena, and I'm sorry, Cena's been fucking washed. Cena's been washed since that match he had with AJ Styles at Royal Rumble 2017. And it sounds like I'm dumping on WWE a lot, and I am, but I'm more dumping on the fact, when the time is up, you need to retire. And too many people do not fucking realize this. And you damn sure shouldn't be putting titles on any of these fucking part-timers. It's a joke. It's a slap in the fucking face to every single hard-working, full-time talent to be working, to, be facing, to be like, facing up at the lights because another guy, has to have the championship. Now, it is Vince's call at the end of the day, or it's, everybody's, it's whoever's call, the booking committee and, Gato and others, whoever's in charge in New Japan. It's their call. And same with Ring of Honor, it's their call who become champions. Sinclair, pieces of shit that they are. But, the roster, I'm not going to fault the roster. Just Sinclair being pieces of shit. You know why they're pieces of shit. And if you support Sinclair, you're a piece of shit too. But other companies, Lucha Underground, fuck that. Fuck those guys for, fucking everybody over. Finally letting people out of their goddamn contracts. About goddamn time they did. But, other companies. So many companies using legends correctly can elevate and bolster the current roster. But with WWE, they are kind of at an impasse right now. Everybody feels the same, which is bad. They have everybody in NXT that they can ever want as far as indie stars. And you have a bunch of indie stars. You have all these indie stars, so therefore you have no stars. And it's weird to say it like that. They have stars. But when everybody's a star, you also have no stars. Because then somebody's got to be the jobber. So that's why they use people to Performance Center, beat them up, all that stuff, and everything, and beat them to powder. And I got another, real honest rant about the current, or actually an unpopular wrestling opinion about the NXT product that I'm going to be doing at some point. But WWE needs to work on themselves here and stop relying on the old guys. It's like when they tried out Hogan at WrestleMania 35. Sorry, wasn't really fucking necessary. I didn't want to fucking see Hogan. Racism aside, even if that had never happened, I still wouldn't want to see Hogan out of WrestleMania 35. Your time has passed. You're done. It's not that people don't respect what he did in wrestling, though racism and, the fact he buried so many people aside, or, you can't really put that to the side. They don't go hand in hand, but they're two big factors, that factor into Hulk Hogan not being likable. Yes, he was a big star, and yes, others, Undertaker, Triple H, is a bigger star than, or he thinks he's a bigger star than he actually is. Batista, though Batista is done, Batista did it the right way, that's fine. And Rey Mysterio's even somebody who I don't think has got all that much left. He's going to start having issues, because he just can't do full-time anymore. AJ Styles is in his early 40s, and again, not ageist. WWE is going to have an issue if they don't start cultivating, younger talent, pushing people, and doing some right things, and you gotta push the right people, because sorry, Jinder Mahal's WWE champion was rotten. It was fucking rotten. Giving Dana Brooke a chance, I'm not comparing Dana Brooke and Jinder Mahal, but it's just, Dana Brooke and the Money in the Bank match, it is what it is. I think they're trying to push her up too soon, and I hope to God she does not fall on her face. I fear she might, but hey, she's training, she's doing well, hopefully that could work. But sometimes pushing the right people means there's nothing wrong with experimenting on stuff and experimenting with young talent and trying to make them work. But there are times where you need to listen to the fans when people are over. Rusev was super over. They did nothing with him except cut him down after a while. Nakamura was over. They just beat him to powder with the AJ Styles feud, gave him the U.S. title and doing nothing. So many others. Apollo Crews means nothing. Chad Gable means nothing. So many mean nothing. And they should mean something. Now, am I saying that they could be leaders of the company? No, but there are so many people that could mean so much more. But nope, Vince is stuck focusing on some older guys. And I guess for the Saudi Arabia show, I get it, because they're all a bunch of goddamn idiots. Well, the government's a bunch of goddamn idiots over there that want all the old guys. The ones they can identify with, because they're all a bunch of, besides the Crown Prince, a bunch of crotchety old people that still believe in a book that is fucking bullshit because it's religion. Sorry, it's fucking bullshit. And it's bullshit to misinterpret stories for your own twisted beliefs. Doesn't matter what religion it is, by the way. But the old guys over there, fine. Have them in their own little bubble there. Have them where they have appearances here and there, but don't have them bury the current roster. Because then you're doing what WCW did, and you're fucking everything over. So that's all I gotta fucking say about that. Agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.